being like real,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Like vulnerable, authentic in our conversations.
Because we're so afraid of saying the wrong thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Or sounding stupid.
Looking foolish. Yeah.
Exactly. And so then we end up saying nothing of substance at all.
It's like we're all walking around wearing these
It
masks, afraid
is.
to let anyone see the real us.
And that fear can be paralyzing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It really keeps us from like truly connecting with people
Yeah.
and experiencing all the richness
Right.
that comes with genuine interaction.
You know, something else that stuck with me from our reading was this idea of embracing silence.
Oh, yeah.
Like we always feel like we have to fill every gap
Right.
in the conversation.
Right.
But sometimes those pauses are really valuable.
They can. I mean, I think of it like the space between musical notes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's the silence that gives the music depth and texture.
That's beautiful.
It lets us process what we've just heard
Yeah.
and formulate a thoughtful response.
Yeah, and it's also a sign of respect, isn't it?
It
Where
is.
You're trusting that the other person has something worthwhile to say.
Exactly.
And you're giving them the space to say it.
It's like saying, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm not rushing you.
Yeah.
You know?
And that creates such a sense of safety and connection.
It does.
You know, like you're not being judged or interrupted.
Right.
You can just be yourself.
It allows for this deeper level of like intimacy and understanding to emerge.
This is all making me think about that gunk in the pipe analogy again.
Yeah.
You know, he was saying even if you're a skilled speaker,
Yeah.
if you're full of anxiety and self-doubt,
Right.
it's going to be really hard to communicate
It's
effectively.
true. Communication is not just about technique. It's
Yeah.
about addressing those like underlying emotions
Yeah.
and beliefs that can really sabotage our efforts.
Like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of rocks.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good one.
You might make some progress,
Yeah,
but you're never going to reach your full potential.
exactly. It highlights the importance of self-awareness and, being willing to do the inner work.
So it's not just about clearing the gunk.
Right.
It's also about improving the quality of the water.
Exactly.
It's like a holistic approach.
Yes, it's about nurturing both like the internal and the external aspects.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see how all these different ideas weave together.
Right.
It's like we're creating a tapestry of communication wisdom.
Yeah, it is. And it's a reminder that there's no like one size fits all approach.
Right.
You know?
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another.
Totally.
It's about finding what resonates with you and incorporating it into your own unique style.
Like finding your voice.
It is
Yeah.
that unique way of expressing yourself
Yeah.
that feels authentic
Yeah.
and true.
And once you find that voice,
Yeah,
the possibilities are endless.
they are.
You know, it's funny, you started this conversation talking about the pressure to connect,
Right,
especially for young people.
right.
But it's something we all struggle with.
We do at any age.
Regardless of age,
Yeah.
we all crave connection.
We do. It's a human need.
That feeling of being seen,
Yeah,
heard, understood.
absolutely.
And it seems like in a world that's increasingly noisy and distracted,
Yeah.
it's harder than ever to find.
It can be. It's like we're surrounded by people, but still feel alone.
Yeah, it's like the paradox of modern life.
It is, but I think the key is remembering that connection.
Yeah.
It starts with ourselves.
What do you mean?
Well, if we're not comfortable with ourselves, if we're constantly seeking validation from other people,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to form those genuine connections.
Right.
Like we're coming to the table with an empty cup, hoping someone else will fill it up for us.
But that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
No, we have to fill our own cups first.
Exactly. We have to cultivate our own sense of self-worth,
Yeah.
our own passions and interests.
Yeah.
That's what makes us interesting and attractive to others.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
You
You
can't
got to fill yourself up first.
take care of yourself first so that you have something to offer.
You know, we've talked a lot about the challenges of communication,
Yeah.
but I think it's important to remember that it can also be incredibly rewarding.
It can be.
You know,
it
like
can.
those moments of true connection.
Yeah.
When you feel like you're really seeing and being seen by another person.
Those moments are magical.
They are magical.
Yeah.
It's like you're sharing a piece of your soul, and they're sharing a piece of theirs with you.
You realize you're not alone.
Yeah.
We're all connected.
In this beautiful, messy tapestry of human experience.
I love that.
It's a beautiful thought.
It is.
That even in our differences, we share this fundamental human need
We do.
for connection.
Something to celebrate.
It is.
You know,
So how do we cultivate those moments of connection more often?
well, I think it starts with being intentional,
Yeah.
making a conscious effort
Yeah.
to be more present and engaged in our conversations, asking thoughtful questions,
Yeah.
and really listening to the answers.
It's about showing up as our authentic selves.
It is vulnerabilities and all.
Yeah. And that takes courage.
It does.
But I think it's a risk worth taking.
I think so too, because on the other side of that fear is
Yeah.
something really special.
And it doesn't have to be this grand gesture.
Right.
You know?
Start
It
small.
could be as simple as asking a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Or sharing a personal story.
hmm
Or just being fully present with someone.
Those small acts of kindness and connection,
Yeah.
they ripple outward.
And create a more compassionate
They
world.
do. They really do. Those little things, they matter.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the big picture,
Right.
like thinking about changing the world.
hmm
But real change happens one conversation,
Right.
one connection at a time.
One person at a time.
And it starts with us
Yeah.
being willing to show up,
hmm
to be present, to listen with open hearts and minds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that quote comes to mind. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We go through the motions,
Right.
but are we really connected?
Are we really there?
Are we truly present?
It's a good question to ask ourselves
Yeah.
because it's easy to fool ourselves into thinking that we're communicating
Yeah.
when really we're just talking at each other.
Broadcasting our own thoughts and opinions without really tuning in to what the other person's saying.
Exactly. And that's not communication. It's just noise.
Two ships passing in the night,
Yeah.
signals crossing, but never really connecting.
So how do we avoid that?
Yeah, how do we make sure our signals are being received loud and clear?
Well, I think it goes back to what we were talking about before, being intentional,
Yeah,
cultivating that sense of self-awareness.
so we can recognize those patterns.
Yeah.
When we're falling into inattentiveness or self-absorption.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of our own internal state,
Okay.
our thoughts, our feelings, so that we can show up as our best self.
Yeah, and that takes practice,
It does.
doesn't it?
It's just building a muscle.
Right?
The more we exercise that muscle of self-awareness,
Yeah.
the stronger it gets.
And as that muscle strengthens, we become more adept at navigating all the complexities
Right.
of human communication.
Yeah.
We become more skilled at listening, empathizing, bridging those gaps of understanding that so often divide us.
Like we're learning a new language.
Yeah.
The language of connection,
Yes.
empathy, shared humanity.
And that's a language worth learning
It is.
because it has the power to transform not just our own lives,
Right.
but the world around us.
It's a language that transcends borders and cultures.
Yeah.
It speaks to the very core of what it means to be human.
And that's something worth striving for. To
Absolutely.
create a world where we truly listen to each other,
Yeah.
where we approach our conversations with curiosity and compassion,
Mm-hmm.
where we celebrate our differences and recognize the beauty in our shared humanity.
That's the world I want to live in,
Me too,
where connection isn't the exception.
right?
It's the rule.
Yeah.
Where we understand that we're all in this together.
And our well-being depends on our ability to communicate.
It all starts with a conversation.
Yeah.
A willingness to reach out, to connect, to bridge those gaps that divide us.
It starts with recognizing that we all have something valuable to offer,
Mm-hmm.
that our stories matter, that our voices deserve to be heard.
So let's keep talking. Let's keep listening. Let's
Yeah.
keep striving to create a world where connection reigns supreme.
Because in the end, it's the connections that we make
Yeah.
that give our lives meaning and purpose.
I think that's a great place to leave it.
Yeah, I think so too.